All right, so let's get this started with our top story this morning. And like I mentioned, just hours before the Supreme Court releases its detailed judgment on the reasons why it annulled the August 8th presidential election, a new petition has been filed at the Judicial Service Commission. Now, this petition seeks the removal of two Supreme Court judges, that is Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu and Justice Isaac Lenaola, over alleged misconduct. The judges are accused of being in contact with lawyers representing NASA leader Raila Odinga, those of the LSK and Third Way Alliance candidate Ekuru Okot. Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu is particularly accused in the petition filed by Derek Ngumu of holding meetings with NASA lead lawyer, James Orengo and Amos Wako. The new petition come days after Nyeri Town Member of Parliament Ngunjiri Wambugu withdrew his petition seeking the removal of Chief Justice David Maraga and against an onslaught of the court by the President Uhuru Kenyatta over its ruling.
Sisi tulikuwa tumejipanga tukijua tumeshinda uchaguzi, lakini mwenzetu wa kitendawili ambaye halikubali kushindwa akaenda kotini. Huko pia wazee wanne wakaamua ya kwamba sauti yao ni kubwa kushinda sauti ya Wakenya milioni 15 ambao walienda kupiga kura. Wakakuja kutuambia wamepindua uchaguzi ati kwa sababu ya fomu hii, sijui fomu hii, sijui fomu hii. Jameni, fomu ndio inapiga kura au ni mwananchi jameni? Si ni mwananchi?
All right, so that is our top story this morning. We'll be having different discussions around that. And I want now to bring in my colleague Shadrach Miti joining us from our City Center studio. Now, Shadrach, what do we know about Derek Ngumu, who is a person who has sought the petition to remove the two Supreme Court judges? He comes from the Angaza Empowerment Network. What more do we know about him?
Well, Betty, that is again the biggest question we are asking ourselves, because this one seems not to be a man known by so many people, yet he has come up with one of the petitions that if anything, if whatever has been captured in that petition is anything to go by, would impute a lot of negative perceptions on the judiciary and the entire Supreme Court judges. Remember, the only thing we know about Eric Nguma is the director of Angaza Group in Mombasa, and that's an NGO based in Mombasa. But anything beyond that, we are yet to know exactly who he is and what he does and how he came up with this petition. And particularly looking at how the petition has been drawn and the basis upon which this petition rests, it again highlights so many questions about the same. Remember, Nguma's petition is based on what we can call conversation record and data obtained from the various telephone communication providers. And in any open procedure, one ought to get a court order maybe for him to get such information as to when, how, and somebody communicated between who and at what time. But now, Eric Nguma seems to have a detailed conversation track down on Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu and Isaac Lenaola. Particularly, this petition seems to revolve around Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, whose much of the content within the petition seems to revolve around her. Although we know the two judges, that is Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu and Isaac Lenaola, are both enjoined in these accusations. But the much burden may be shouldered by Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, who, besides being accused of being in contact with the NASA lead counsel, James Orengo, she's also been accused of being in contact with Amos Wako and Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula in various places at different times, and conversing on how according to the petition, things that were related to the petition that was ongoing, filed by NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga. Betty.
All right, Shadrach, apart from the phone records, which, the petitioner says he has a hold of, and whether he has them or not, that remains to be answered, because you mentioned clearly that, you'd need a court order to have such information released. But apart from that, does he have any more evidence, maybe witnesses who could attest that indeed these meetings between, the judges and people representing NASA actually took place?
Up until this time, Betty, what we know so far is that the strength of this petition is based on the telephone conversation occupied by the petitioner. But besides that, we are yet to establish exactly what else will he be building this petition on. And remember, after the petition has been filed at the JSC, that is the Judicial Service Commission, then there shall be a process to establish whether the allegations raised are true or not. And that is when we shall be establishing how many other people are there, maybe to corroborate the information he has given to the JSC, or if there are many other witnesses he's going to base on his argument. But so far we know the strength of this petition is basically on the conversation records he allegedly has from different telephone service providers. But beyond that, we are yet to know exactly how far does he, or how much of the evidence does he have in so far as building this case is concerned. Betty.
All right, Shadrach Miti there, reporting from our City Center studio, just giving us more detail about this petition that has been brought forward before the JSC, seeking to remove the DCJ, Philomena Mwilu, and Supreme Court Judge Isaac Lenaola. We'll be having a conversation around that. And also we'll try and get the views of one Ekuru Okot. He was a presidential candidate in the August 8th election, and he was also mentioned to have met Isaac Lenaola. We'll be trying to get details from him and his reaction really generally to this petition that has been filed before the JSC. But before